Let me tell you why you're here. You're here because you know something. What you know you can't explain, but you feel it. You felt it your entire life.
Hi everyone, it's Brendo here from 2-Bit Idiots. This week's episode, we were lucky enough to have Daniel Prince on the pod, talking Bitcoin obviously, as well as a little bit about his views on the education system and in particular homeschooling. Look, we do need to apologise for this one as far as the audio goes. It wasn't very good on our end. Being our second episode, our first interview, we're still kind of working out the technicalities, so thanks for your patience there. I also need to add that I did dox hats a couple of times, so see if you can listen for where I've tried to cover it up. If you can guess his name, let us know. Actually means I haven't done my job very well. Anyway, hope you enjoy this episode. Cheers.
So whose pod is this? Is it yours or ours?
Oh, good question. Now let's let's do yours. Go for it. You guys go.
Okay, hi mate. So thanks very much for coming on. We've done a single pod, and it's gone out. It's just published through Anchor, and it's just feeding out through Spotify or iTunes or wherever else we go. Google, Apple Pods.
Yeah.
But so we did one, and we didn't know if it was okay. So you and I have previously sort of reached out. Had a couple of messages back last year, I think it was. So I thought, well, I'll just ask a couple of questions to see if he minds answering a question. And then you kindly said that you'd happy to come on or for us to come and speak to yourself. So I guess my first question is, why? We're setting ourselves up in a sort of, I guess, we don't see competition at all. And obviously, you've got a lot of success going. But why? Why are we?
Bitcoin plebs stand together.
Yeah.
Bitcoin plebs stand together. It's that simple. Like, just try and support each other around the world as much as we can and spread the good word of Bitcoin. This is the way it's going to grow and the way we're going to get to as many people as possible and help adoption. It's that simple. Anybody that shows up in the DMs with like genuine interest, always, this whole Bitcoin maximalism thing is kind of a meme from the shitcoiny side, which we've, lovingly adopted. And we will be toxic to those people like the Steve Hankeys or the Krugmans or the Rubinis or Talebs of this world that are showing, nothing but disingenuous kind of stances on what we see here. But like if a pleb shows up and asking questions, I had a guy in the DMs the other day asking about NFTs because I called out Gary Vee as a scammer. And he's got NFTs all over his profile. And he's like, why do you think he's scamming? And we got into this long conversation. He's like, I'm like, here's an episode with Andy Edstrom. Go listen to this because, this isn't a game to us. Like, we're not here to make money. Like, we've seen money is being redefined in front of our eyes. This is a historical moment. Like, we're not messing around. This isn't a game. NFTs and the shitcoins and everything else are just a game. Like people, what they want to come in and they want to get rich quick in 6 months to 9 months and, walk off into the horizon with their dollars. Like we don't want dollars. This is the biggest point that we're trying to get across. So anything to help out fellow plebs, but please ask Lauren a question because she's standing on hot coals and she's got to go to a French lesson on her club.
All right. Sorry.
No, not on my club, Isabel.
Oh, Isabel, that's right. Her teacher's coming. Yep.
So this is Galileo? You're Galileo?
Actually, no. This is my tutor who comes every once a week. But I do have a French club that I missed yesterday because I went to the river.
Yes.
But I did speak a lot of French with my friend.
Yeah, that's right. So to fill in the listeners, Galileo is a self-directed education learning platform where she and her brother and older sister connect with facilitators and kids from all around the world and learn different subjects. Today we have a weekly visit from Isabel, who is a French lady that comes and does one-on-one. And yesterday afternoon we were at a homeschool meetup at it's called an Etang here in France. It's a small lake with a small beach, and we were there yesterday afternoon hanging out with a bunch of French homeschooling families. And there are more than people think. You know, it's they like to make us all feel that we're in the minority of whatever kind of niche we find ourselves in. But you soon realize that narrative seems pretty weird, because I'm surrounded by people that have the same kind of thoughts as me, and have seen through the education system, for example, and are taking matters into their own hand. Bitcoin plebs around the world taking money into their own hands. You know, there's more of us out there than we're ever led to believe.
How do you find that goes socially? We both have kids, and they are in, mainstream school, but primary school just now. So I'm thinking about this. The Bitcoin has made me think about this, and particularly your show, Daniel. So how do you find it? That the thing I struggled to go, I had a really good experience with school. It was okay for me.
This is a question for Lauren.
Yeah. So really, how is it socially with your friends? Like, how do you connect with people? Do you connect with people mostly online or mostly in person?
Mostly online, because I do my school every single day, except if I have to do something or if we're going out somewhere, I just can write to the facilitators and say, sorry, I'm not coming to the club today, I have to do this, I'm going to do that. And then they'll be like, okay, yeah, that's fine. And I mostly see online kids because we don't really go out much anymore since the personality and COVID, and Daddy doesn't really like the masks. So we're only going out to go to the picnics, mostly with the people who homeschool too. That's mostly we just go.
Yeah, the odd weekend we'll see friends.
Friday, that's Uncle Bella's.
Yeah,
Wait, hold on. Oh wait, I'm getting mixed up with uncles.
No, that's right.
Okay,
No,
yeah. Okay.
So this typical week, there's is Isabel here?
Oh, okay. I have to go.
The au revoir.
Nice to meet you.
Have a good day.
But I'll pick up on. I'll give you more of an in-depth view and answer. And please forgive any trigger moments and rants. But this is the social question is kind of the Bitcoin's bad for the environment FUD of the homeschool world, if you will.
Okay.
It's the first thing out of most people's mouths is like, oh yeah, but how are they ever going to socialize and normalize themselves? They'll never be able to get a job. They'll never be able to interact with people. They won't learn how to. So going back to the socialization aspect being the kind of main FUD around homeschooling. Which even that term itself, we need to move away from using the word home school, because the two just don't mix at all. Like you cannot recreate a school situation or scenario or atmosphere within the home. Like it just doesn't. They don't mix. This is why we hate homework, right? As kids growing up, because just two words that should never have been put together, like ever. I mean, especially for a 10-year-old. So the social side of things, let's not get sidetracked. I wrote about this in my book, Quick Shill, Choose Life, and this is how I tried to kind of bust down the FUD. And I looked in certain dictionaries and found kind of the common theme of the definition of the word to socialize or socialize, the word socialize, because that's what people say. Well, how will they ever be able to socialize? And so the first definition you get is mix socially with others, which is what people are thinking of when they say, well, how are your kids ever going to socialize? Because they're not going to be around kids their own age, which, by the way, is also a bad idea. You do not need to put kids in the exact same age group. That is a really retarded thing to do. You should have kids mixed completely across all age groups from 6 months to 86 years of age. The fact that we corral them into these small little pens of groups of 25 to 30 in the exact same age group, that's just antisocial. That's really a completely moronic thing to do, like when you start scratching the surface of these things, because never again in your life is that ever going to happen to you. You know, once you're out of education and the higher education system and into the workplace, I mean, you probably remember the first day you walked in. I walked in as 19 years of age, and I couldn't believe a 45-year-old guy was talking to me. Like, he's like, wow,
That's right.
I'm friends with a 45-year-old. This is great. And that guy's from Germany. That's amazing. Like, you know, this is crazy.
Totally
And that guy over there, like, you know, what's his story? He's 25 and he's already, like, he seems, you know, he's already got a nice BMW, and like, well, how the hell he did that? Like, oh, he left school at 16. You're like, fuck.
What have I been doing for the last 4 or 5 years?
Right. So all of those things just start firing off, and you instinctively know the opportunity cost then immediately of the years you've been locked away in those classrooms, being force-fed the state narrative, because let's have a look, really question ourselves, first principles thinking, where does the curriculum come from? Who makes that? Well, let's say there's a new prime minister, president, whatever, comes in. Thank you very much. Who's he bringing with him? The new party members. Who are they? Just a bunch of cronies that have been hanging off his coattails for the last 2 years. They all want jobs now. Okay, so you're going to be health minister. Ever been a doctor? Nah, I think I'll be all right. You can be the finance minister. Anything, you know anything about economics? I did a few courses. You know, you could even be a PhD of macroeconomics. We know now you know fuck all about economics or how the world is supposed to work. You're going to be transport minister. Yeah, I can drive. All right, brilliant. And you're going to be education minister. Right, okay. Ever been a teacher? Nah. Or don't worry about it. Go fix the education system. It's nonsense. Yeah. And now you've got these unelected bureaucrats that have got to stamp their authority on that role, right? And just kind of say, well, this is who I am. This is what I do, because they're playing their own political game and they want to get even higher than they've already got. So they go out and they hire people to like rearrange the education system, malinvestment all over the place. A new curriculum gets written, and that curriculum gets passed down to God knows what you have now in Australia or the UK. You've got all of these layers above the schools that are governing the schools, right? And going around and testing them and making sure that they're up to standard, up to par, and all of this. So it goes through them, then it goes through the next layer, then it gets passed down to the head teacher, then it gets passed down to the head of division or head of math or head, to go and then distribute that to the minion teachers, that then are just little robot flapping heads at the front of the class in front of 30 kids that are completely disinterested and fucking bored. Like this, this whole system is designed for one purpose, and it isn't for the kids or for the teachers, who are just as trapped in the system as the kids. So we coming back to the social aspect. Yeah. There's nothing social about being forced to sit down and shut up and listen to a teacher and not question authority, not question the answer, but just be indoctrinated to the answer, and indoctrinated to the answer in every single subject, because that is what is going to get you the results, not the discussions. Not like, well, Miss, World War One, I don't know, seems a bit sketchy. Like, one guy gets shot in Sarajevo and the world goes to shit. I mean, are you sure there wasn't something else at play? That's the question. That's the answer. Move on. Stop like holding everybody else up. And so as a young inquisitive mind, you're shut down, and you know you're already on to World War II, and then you're on to like just to throw you in a swerve ball of like Victorian England, just to like but you've got to just remember all of these dates. And mathematics is the same. We all know there's 3 or 4 different ways that you can get to the answer, but they're only going to teach you one. And if that one doesn't jive with your brain because you don't learn that way, tough fucking shit. You're in set 4 and you're a dunce. Yeah. And there's zero flexibility in the system. And if you remember, maybe not everybody, but come recreation or playtime, as it used to be called back in the day, especially at high school, you would spend the majority of that
Yeah. It's so bringing that into Bitcoin, then you have chosen. You're doing the pod, and you're openly using your own name on the pod, and you on video, and you're involving your family in the whole exercise. How much thought did you put into that? Well, I'm guessing quite a bit. And what was how did you come to that conclusion that that's what you wanted to do?
Yeah, procrastination, lots of it. Let's wind back. That moment when you realize which is what you guys are realizing right now, you feel a sense of responsibility weighing down on your shoulders because you've seen something that is so unbelievably positive for humanity, and you can't stop talking about it. You got to the point now where you've completely ground down your friends and your family to the point where they probably are trying to avoid you actively and secretly praying for longer lockdowns because they just don't want to spend another night listening to you going on and on about it. That's where I got to. I got to there pretty quick as well. To back up. So I found Bitcoin back end of, heard about Bitcoin 12, 13, whatever it was, started interacting with it back end of 15. Absolute clarification, conviction towards the end of 19. Been stacking, but it hadn't affected my mind until then. And that's when I really wanted to start dropping the bombs. But we live very rurally here in France, so it was a quick kind of 2 or 3 months of procrastination of I got to start a podcast. There's what do I do? Do I write articles? Do I write blog posts? I tried that. Didn't enjoy it too much. Didn't really feel as though I could get my point across as I wanted. I'd been listening to John Vallis, Brady Swanson, Guy Swan, Stefan, Marty and Matt, and Peter. They were about the 6 that I could find at that point. I'd obviously watched all of Andreas's talks and his books. And I figured that's my medium. I think I can add something with a podcast. And the reason I knew I could do the interviews is because 2019, we did in conjunction with Galileo, before Galileo had even started, the online self-directed education platform wasn't even a thing. Vlad and I, the founder, we met online via Twitter well before COVID, so it wasn't even lockdown. It was just sharing ideas on Twitter about homeschooling. He was homeschooling his kids. We were doing the same with ours, or had done the same. He'd found my book and he'd read it and reached out. And we put together an online summit before online summits were even a thing. Who would have even thought of doing an online summit pre-COVID times? No, you hired a convention center, you attract all the sponsors. We're like, no, fuck that. Let's just put it online. We've got Zoom. We just put it on a web page, and we interview the people, and whoever comes shows up, and we'll see what happens. We got some amazing speakers to give up their time. I managed to interview all of these guys. For whatever reason, I was comfortable doing that, and the summit attracted 4,500 people. And from there, the seed started to grow of Galileo could be an online self-directed education platform and project which has just gathered steam. So I was comfortable doing the interviews. I'd worked in sales, I'd worked in customer facing roles my whole career, so I was comfortable with the no. Like, if I reach out to someone, they say, no, I don't have time, fine, that's great. But when I did start reaching out to fellow podcasters and potential guests, everything was coming back as a yes. I'm like, this is crazy. Like,
well, that's the thing. I find like, with the whole Maxi side of the argument, I get it. Like when you read Twitter, and it can come across very confrontational. If you're just new to it, and I'm guilty, but it can come across as really confrontational, and you can turn off real quickly. But anytime, I can't think of a time when I have reached out to somebody would consider themselves a Maxi for genuine, like asking a genuine question or asking for help, and the answer has been no. Like it's, and I can't think of any other walk of life where that would be the case. I've never had that in my whole career up until now. Never. And
no.
No, but I think it's born out of the fact that, as Daniel was saying, we know how important it is. So you want to preach that gospel. It's almost like it is a religion, you know what I mean? So it's like you want to share that love and that absolute enthusiasm for Bitcoin. So why would you not help a fellow pleb?
I guess, but it still shocks me every time that happens.
Yeah. Well, right? Like Daniel.
Completely right. I mean, it's like asking, what do we have here? And Harvey Norman and JB Hi-Fi. It's like going to JB Hi-Fi, going to Harvey Norman and asking for their sales pitch, or like something like that. It would just never happen.
Yeah,
it would never happen. It's great. It's great to be involved in. We haven't done conferences or anything like that at all, either of us. But there's what's it called, the Bush Bash in Australia, which we went along to, which was
the inaugural
Bush Bash, which was wonderful.
It was fantastic.
Totally. When did you go?
Where or when?
When was that?
Well, the first one was November last year,
2020.
So we're coming up for 12 months soon.
Yeah.
There'll be another one, and so there's like there was a few guys there. Stefan was there, and there was a few other people that you might recognise. I'll not call them all out, but it was great. Learned so much, but people.
Well, and not having to be in a corner. The two of us talking Bitcoin while everyone else around you is just doing their thing. It's just like, fuck, you can go get it anywhere.
Yeah.
Yeah, you got there's a cool bunch of guys down there in Australia, and Wizard of Oz, and Hodlong Comrades, Uncle Bill. That I think they put it together with Chloe, maybe.
Yes.
And Kitan and Stefan, and it's a bunch of very, very cool Bitcoiners. Big shout out to all of them, and I hope one day that we can. I don't know, maybe you guys will open your borders one day and let in the great unwashed. And we can come and visit.
There's a whole other rabbit hole. Oh my god! Yeah. Okay. So, what is your routine with your pod then, Daniel? You're putting out 2 or 3 a week.
Yeah.
That's pretty consistent. How do you manage that? Is it's 100% full time for you now, or?
It's pretty low key. It's pretty low touch, to be honest. As you'll find as you guys start reaching out to people, scheduling and getting everybody on the right time zones and whatever else, that's the biggest challenge. Trying to find the right day in each other's diaries, and the world is going to do what the world is going to do, and sometimes things get cancelled, or you run into tech issues halfway through the interview, and this is what is the real kind of grind. I was doing an episode with Ben Kaufman on Monday, and he's in the middle of Latin America somewhere, so he had a bad connection, and it just really wasn't working out. I hope I can save the audio. I've got to go back and check that, so that'll be more time, trying to edit out all the wings and pings and whiz bangs and all of that kind of stuff. But ultimately, I left that interview with him. We got cut off. Thankfully, we just said goodbye and thanks, and then it just dropped. So I texted him and I said, look, I'll see how much I can save. If not, we'll just have to do it again another day when you're on a better, because there's no point representing your guest if it's bad audio or if something's happened. It's just not. That's not a good use of their time, and that's not how you want to represent them to the rest of the community. So those things are a bit of a ball ache. Otherwise, like I said, reaching out, you get a pretty much 100% strike rate. so you can just get straight on with that. That gives you the motivation to keep going. This is something people get back to front, and they'll think, oh, well, I'm not motivated enough to go and do that. Action breeds motivation. So you got to start there. Like, you got to act first. So anyone that's listening, any of the plebs, you got to start writing. That article's not going to write itself. You've got to start memeing. It's not going to make itself. Just go act. And if one person sees the meme, you get one like and you get one retweet. Doesn't matter. Like, it really doesn't matter. You're not going to go viral. You're not going to get 10,000 retweets. Don't think that way, and don't think that you're not adding something just by doing it. So this is why, you guys stepping up and starting a podcast, this is awesome. It just brings another conversation to the whole party. Yeah. 2 or 3 episodes a week. I try and line them up as best I can, record them very simply straight into Zoom, then drag those 2 MP3 files into GarageBand. A pleb helped me out. 2 plebs helped me out with the intro music. So there's the intro that Adam Woodhams put together for me. I just dragged that in. Then at Hodler Than Thou, Sir Badminton, who is the brains behind 21ism. He's got the really funky kind of jazzy music.
Yeah.
That he did. That music is pulled from his 007 Bitcoin mashup that I don't know if you guys have ever seen before.
No, but I'd love to just ask, what did you think of our intro music, Daniel?
Yeah, what was it? It was no, you didn't you have?
Tell the truth now. I'd be very happy if you told the truth.
So one of us likes the music, one of us doesn't. Can you guess who?
But do you not run a quote from The Matrix or something before?
Yeah.
Morpheus is in there.
Yeah. But
yes.
So I did the little background music in Logic, and it's got a little kind of dirgy guitar part that I absolutely love, and I'm not a fan of.
I'm gonna have to listen to it again.
It's too late.
I'm gonna have to listen to it again. Yeah, sorry, I can't think of it off the top of my head. But the quote from Morpheus is great. Leave that there forever.
I could just watch The Matrix on loop. I mean, it's a bit like that. It's
They dropped a trailer today, I think, or a teaser.
Oh, for the fourth one, yeah.
Are you worried? I'm worried
Matrix 4.
Yeah. Well, as a Scottish guy, I was really concerned about Trainspotting too. I don't like the follow-up.
I haven't seen the second one.
It's actually it's okay, Matrix. It's really the first one, and that's it for me.
Yeah.
Now, you're right. Trainspotting 2, it took me a long time to get to. Same as Zoolander 2. I didn't want to go there. I didn't want any part of it. But they actually turned out okay. And I got to say, Ewan McGregor.
Anchorman 2, not so much.
Who? Anchorman 2? Oh, no.
That was a bit too much.
No. But in Trainspotting 2, the best scene again is the Choose Life.
Yes.
Ewan McGregor, and that's why I chose the title of the bit from Trainspotting. That's from the original Trainspotting.
So
you go back.
You had the original poster up on your wall, did you? Or
no, but I just loved it. I loved that part of the film. I love that. I read the book as well, and when you read the book, it's so powerful. And it is just this trap into consumerism and the 2.4 kids and the rat race. Choose a fucking great big TV, choose a washing machine, go. It is just brilliant. If nobody's heard it yet or seen it written out, that was the inspiration for the title of the book. So when they did Trainspotting 2, and he nailed that in the restaurant scene with the girl, choose fucking Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and all this. It's like, man, this is just brilliant. Like, they've done it again. It's so good.
It was excellent. My only downside on it was the soundtrack wasn't as good, but the original was fantastic. So you can't. I enjoyed it. So is the pod just been purely organic growth, or are you trying to grow it? I mean, what was the original intention? I guess, is it just to get you were frustrated with all the people who didn't want to talk to you, so you just wanted to get your voice out there? To see what happened, or have you deliberately tried to grow it into something that's is what it is now?
So as I explained before, the homeschooling summit, that was all done, that was all recorded. One of the guests was Didi Taihutu, who was worldschooling his family, 3 kids. He's the crazy Dutch guy that sold everything he owned back in 2016 for Bitcoin.
Yeah, right.
That ran the article. Yeah. That run the Business Insider magazine ran the article on them. As soon as he did that, like they had film crews turning up, wanted to make documentaries. They had Business Insider, all these other magazines showing interest in what they were doing. And of course, him being a fellow world schooler and a Bitcoiner, when I reached out to him, is like, yeah, 100%. I'll come on and talk to you about world schooling and how we're doing it for our kids. And during that conversation, we sidetracked into Bitcoin, because these two communities, alternative education, if you remove education from state, you will remove money from state, because you will get it. You need the touch point, and vice versa. This is why so many Bitcoiners now that remove money from state, they're hearing me talk about like alternative education choices, and they're like, wait, I can remove education from state too? You're like, yeah. And then what next? Can I remove health from state? I mean, well, we all know you can. Like you can go private and, you know, get actual care to cure the thing that you are, you know, suffering from, rather than you just be drip fed with drugs for the rest of your life, because that's the business model of the state healthcare system. And you're like, whoa, we don't need any of these systems? You're like, no, you don't. You think you do, but you've made a Faustian bargain your whole life to be part of it. And it's really like, once you start opening your eyes and peeling back the layers of the onion, you're like, whoa. So Didi came on, we had that conversation. Then it was, like I said, it was bugging me. How do I get my voice out there in the Bitcoin space? How do I add value to these people that have given me so much? How can I help the plebs coming behind me understand and get up to speed quicker than it took me, because it's taken me too long? And the idea was content. So I contacted Didi and I'm like, thinking of starting a pod. Do you mind if I just release you as first episode, the interview that we did before? I don't want to take any more of your time. He's like, sure, man, no problem. I'm like, I wasn't expecting that. I'm like, okay. Drag it into Anchor, smash, boom. 3 days later, 250 people have listened. I'm like, my God, what the hell? Who the hell is listening to this? This is amazing. I better find new guests. That's when I started reaching out to other people. And like I said, they just started coming on. And it was completely organic. It always has been. The sponsors to the show have approached me rather than me going to bug them. I don't have any contracts with like sponsorship. I don't have any scripts with sponsorship. I don't want any. Actually, that's not true. I have a contract with Swan, like a 3-year deferred plan on, you know, if they're still around in 3 years, I'll get some kind of shares. If they're not, we had a gamble. They had a good run at it. I was happy to shield them. You know, let's just see what happens. Otherwise, with the other show sponsors, it's handful of sats each month, and I just shill their product. But it's got to be a Bitcoin only company, and I've got to actually use their service. So like CoinFloor, for example, Bitbox, Relay, I use all of their services. Swan, I'm unable to, but I'd already got to know very well Corey, and I'd had Jan on the show, the two founders. And then you've just seen what Swan have been doing, you know, hiring people like Andy and Lynn, and, you know, they've got Stefan on board now. It's such a Bitcoin Maxi, and Brecky and Brady, you know, these guys are so solid. It's just unbelievable. And I'd love for Swan to be able to roll out globally so people can DCA, but they're not going to need to, because there are so many companies popping up now in different countries around the world. France now, we already have purely French service for stacking. There's another one coming out soon, and then a third one's going to be coming out for like roundup cash. So if you spend 150-120 at the supermarket, 80 cents gets round up and changed into sats for like micro stacking. It's happening, guys. So much is being built that we just have no idea about, and there's no stopping this thing. So organic growth is the answer. A long rambling answer.
So, sorry. No, please. What's your take on El Salvador? And we're fitting kind of, we're talking about it's quite a good day to actually have you on and have a chat. So what's your take on how it all went down?
Incredible. Like the announcement from Jack was just so emotional.
Were you in Miami?
No, I was watching it live on YouTube. Fucking what a legend. Like he's up there bawling his eyes out. You know, you get choked up just thinking about it, right? And to a lot of noobs that aren't, you know, at that place in the rabbit hole journey yet, for those that have kind of like just been completely overtaken by what this can mean for humanity, and for him to be giving that speech about a country, moving to adopt Bitcoin. I don't think anyone could have imagined that for the next 5 years. Like, it was just like wham. I mean, I remember like 9 months prior to that, I was talking to Preston Pish on an episode. When were we doing that? That must have been April or May 2020. Preston and I were talking about, like, when do you think we're going to get that announcement on the stock exchange, on the Dow Jones, the S&P, the NASDAQ, that, a company's woken up and seen this? And then a few months later, MicroStrategy. And I was like, I remember DMing Preston like, fucking hell, mate. Like, we were off. I mean, we had the right idea, but we were off by years.
Yeah. And then Andy picked it perfectly as well with the debt issue. And so, like, that's excellent. But it sometimes feels in the day-to-day grind that nothing is happening, and then you look back at 6 months or 3 months or 2 weeks.
But that's because we're living it,
and
breathing it.
It's incredible the change that's happened in the last. I mean, I started with like Thomas Hunt and Kaiser and stuff. I don't know if you heard some of that, which was great, but there was very little information there. You really had to go around scraping for information, and you got so much shitcoin. I mean, you still do, but at least you can find the other thing now. And from there to today is it's unrecognizable.
It truly is. And I still think it's to a lot of people listening, like, a country has adopted Bitcoin. Like, this is so fucking huge. Because it doesn't end at one.
No. Well, as the game doesn't allow it to.
It really doesn't. This is just the first domino. And what's the downside? Like, it's very quick risk analysis for these countries. All right, what's the downside? We go back to the dollar that fucks us in the ass anyway. Yeah. All right, should we go for the Bitcoin thing then? It's a very short meeting.
But with all the printing of the US dollar that goes on, El Salvador gets literally no benefit from that. Nothing. You don't even have to, hope that you're part of the lucky crowd that gets in there first. There's literally no benefit. Yeah. So why would you not? Why would any country that's in that situation not? It's not even a risk.
Zero risk.
It's a great wake up. It's not the great reset. It's a great wake up.
Bitcoin's the great reset. That's what they don't understand. They didn't plan for Bitcoin in their great reset.
No, and it's not.
All plebs.
Yeah.
So how do you cope with, say, like shitcoiners? Because surely with the profile that you now have, you must be approached by plenty.
Yeah, you get the odd DM, can we sponsor your show, or can we come on your show?
How do you vet those? No, is that difficult? Because are they coming in saying, yeah, we're pro Bitcoin, and then you have to do a bit of digging before you actually realize?
Yeah, so first thing is get to the website, let's have a look. Who are the founders? What are their past? Run it past a few other Bitcoiners that you trust. You guys heard of these guys? I don't want to get sideswiped here. At the end of the day, you could still do the interview. You don't have to release it. If you feel kind of dodgy about it afterwards.
Has that ever happened? Have you ever?
Not yet. Not yet. I had one interview with a guy that wanted to come on and talk about how to. See, he was a very professional, excellent marketer, and done a lot of psychological kind of research. And he's like, what's missing in this space, especially with new companies, is how to target that specific market. Who is it you're going after, and why, and what are they going to be interested in, and how can you help educate them around Bitcoin? I'm like, this is fucking really awesome topic to be, this is, as companies such as Swan were just, getting going, and other companies around the world were suddenly coming out of the woodwork, like the Folds and the Lollies and people like this. You want to be able to market people that are going to take your card and use it and get sats back and tell everybody else about it. So had him on. It was an incredible conversation, and he'd worked for Adidas and Nike and plenty of other huge names. And then like 2/3 of the way in, we got on to the question of Bitcoin, and it turned out he doesn't own any Bitcoin. He owns other stuff he didn't want to say. And we got into the discussion about, but why? It was a very open discussion, very professional. He voiced his concerns, and I did my best to try and convince him why the community had already looked into that and figured out that no, it's not bad for the environment and proof of work. And but he ultimately, I don't think he was ready to understand at that point. But I released the episode. I think he took a little bit of flack. I felt that the original content was good enough to stand up on its own and help people think about how we're going to educate as many people as possible. Right. So that's the only one. There's a company interested in coming on right now. One of the guys that works there is trying to push the CEO onto the show. But I've looked at their service and they accept Bitcoin Cash and Ethereum. And so I just don't want to expose the company to the community. Just try and keep it Bitcoin only as much as I possibly can. And yeah, just a little bit of vetting and you'll be okay.
Yeah. So as this whole thing grows, as it's going to,
our pod, you mean? Of course.
No.
This is going to go. This pod's going to the moon.
So yeah, as Bitcoin grows, as we all think it's going to, is there a particular direction you want to take it? Because it's going to. I think it's going to become too big, right? You're going to need, like, I don't know, Bitcoin for nurses or Bitcoin for firemen or whatever it is.
Because education-wise.
Yeah, the education piece.
Yeah.
You're not going to get in the same room.
No,
it's going to become
absolutely not. And I had two dentists on that were taking their practice onto a Bitcoin standard, and they were going to start a Bitcoin dentist podcast for the dentistry community because they have their own conferences and whatever else, right? They're sharing big ideas, and this is how these new techniques and inventions of dental health gets pushed forward because people go and they share ideas, so that they have their own thing going on. So they were going to do how to move your dental practice onto a Bitcoin standard and why. And so there's an example of a niche. Like that's crazy. I had two policemen on. They're not doing their own pod, but they come on to represent policemen and try and help other policemen, fellow policemen, understand. Like you got to protect your family, you got to protect your wealth. You're putting your life on the line each day, and the way that the police are being depicted in the press right now, especially in Australia, it's cleverly done. It's to make us hate them and divide us. A lot of these, I suspect, a lot of pictures we see are edited for our benefit and could easily be hired goons, rather than, and this puts the actual police, the community police, in such a bad position because they're guilty by association. But it's perfect for the government to keep us all divided, and so on they march.
Yeah, so many of them were kind of having to finish or retire early because of PTSD anyway from whatever they've been exposed to, and it's just getting worse for them.
Firemen, another great example.
Yeah.
Like, think of the shit those guys have seen and the lives they've led as well. They've not been night shift work does weird shit to people, and especially like emergency stressful night shift work, and you see people dead, or you've got to try and pull them out of a burning car and you can't make it. Like this has huge effects. So they're getting fucked by the day because of the money printing going burr. They're literally putting their life and their health on the line, and they're not spending as much time with their family, and their wealth is being devalued away from them. It's disgusting. So if we can help them understand, what Bitcoin is, military guys that come back as well, like, it's such a sad story. It's unbelievable. You were sent across overseas to go and fight people you've never met in your life who you possibly could have been like best friends with if you'd been there in different circumstances. Now you come back, you're washed up, you don't serve anymore. No one gives a flying fuck. Like, what are we doing to people? It's so bad. So when, helping people understand, like, there's a savings technology now. It's called Bitcoin. It's got nothing to do with the banks. They're not going to help you save ever again. You guys might remember the 80s, 90s. There used to be something called an interest rate where you could deposit your money and compound interest was your friend. Not anymore. Like, no millennial will ever know an interest rate above 2%.
Yeah.
Unless they're borrowing, like,
And if you're not getting a pay rise of 15%, you're going backwards.
Yeah.
Yep.
And
so
that's just going to get worse. It can only get worse. It's not up for debate. It can only get worse.
You're right. There is no debate on this. This is ultimate truth. This is what's happening. People better wake up and face it. Unfortunately, they don't want to because they're fat and happy, and now they're getting UBI or furlough payments, whatever, and they can sit at home and watch Netflix and Uber Eats delivers their food. So that's a life to misery. That is the road to a life of misery.
So what about, Daniel, if it is a close friend or family member, that, because we've all got them, who are just head in the sand, not wanting to listen? Do you think they're not listening because they're afraid, or they're like lazy, or they're just too caught up in other things? Or like, how do you get past that, and how do you deal with that for yourself, with your own people?
I found like it's different ages react differently. You're more likely to get through to younger kids, younger guys, girls. If you can catch them late teens, kind of mid-20s, they haven't hung their identity on something yet.
Yeah.
Whereas any older than that, if you've started your career, maybe you're like 25 to 30, you've got 4 or 5 years under your belt of that career that you've fought to get into the door of, and you've taken the carrot a couple of times, and you've got that extra little name on your business card, and you're now VP of God knows who gives a fuck, and you're playing the corporate ladder game. You've started hanging your identity on a hook, and that's really dangerous. So when you get to a 45-year-old guy who's painted himself into the corner of a career that he secretly hates, he's got the 2.4 kids, he's got, ridiculous private school fees, 2 cars on debt, the mortgage is burying him, happily married, hopefully, but never sees the wife and kids. You go up to him and say, hey, look at this Bitcoin thing. Your whole identity so far up until now has been built on a bed of fiat lies. That's the only reason you have what you have. And it's tough. It's really tough.
Yeah.
Because like that education, that degree that you took is kind of built on the fiat education system and that narrative that you've been fed, that job, the money that you've earned is just built on the basis of this fiat Ponzi scheme that's backed by nothing. We all thought it was backed by something, but it's not. Yeah. The career that you've built, the sacrifices that you've made, all to chase this falsified money. It's a tough, bitter pill to swallow. I don't know how you guys swallowed it when you faced it.
Well, it's a process, I think, for me. When you, if you think, since coming off the gold standard, 71, so we're now 50 years on, there's pretty much nobody in the workforce at all anymore that has built their career on something that is real, if you actually get down to it. None of us. So you have to get round to the accepting that everything that you have and everything that you've built is really just been based on a lie, which is very, very, very difficult to be okay with that. And I mean, I guess, I don't know. For me, it took time, and it's For Brenda, it's taken shorter time because I've been able to bring him along a bit, and then the person he tells is going to hopefully take a shorter time again.
I think it helps, and this is what I said last week. I think it helps not having any true understanding of what money actually means.
Coming in,
and that's where I came from. In fact, when I sat down with to begin with, and he kind of sort of spelled it all out from seashells and on. It was very much a kind of bit of a holy fuck moment, for me. So, and I think there are a lot of people like that, there really are, particularly as going back to the education system, there's no financial literacy really taught. There's mathematics, algebra, all that stuff, which is fine and useful, but actual functional financial literacy, not there.
It's not. So is the practical advice if there's a listener thinking, that's me, I'm in that boat right now. I think these guys are talking, what these guys are saying is correct. But I've been in this career for 22 years and I've got 3 children and I can't give it up. Is the simple solution just to take a little bit of your paycheck and just stack a few sats? Is it just as simple as that and start there and then build up as your conviction grows?
Yes. It's that. It's like, be honest with yourself. How do you learn best? If you're listening to this podcast, it's likely a podcast. Just go find other podcasts. It doesn't matter which ones. Go find them, test them. Who do you connect with? And then listen to like 10 of those on the train in, or the bus, or the car, whatever it is you're doing. You can even put them at 2x speed, right? Like, this is Matrix back again. Like, this is Neo being plugged in at the back of the head, right? That's the way I see podcasts. It's like this information is out there. The 2x, I don't like it either, but people love it. Like, they bang through it. People tell me I get a lot of feedback. I speak too slowly on the pods, but I do that because I want to be understood by, I lived abroad for many years. I lived in Singapore for 15 years. I understand you have to be slow and deliberate and enunciate if you want to reach as many people as possible. So I get feedback from English speakers like, man, you got to speed up. I'm like, no, you just fucking speed up. That's easy. Because the other feedback I get from non-native English speakers is like, I love the way that you speak slowly and clearly, because that's, helping them. And even they can even knock it down to 0.75 if they need to. Like, we have this technology. If you're listening and you like pods, go do that. If you prefer to read, start with articles. Don't go straight to a book. Don't go to the big stuff. Go to Medium. Go find Gradually Then Suddenly series by Parker Lewis. Get lost in that. If you want to learn about money, I think, and history, because they're such brilliant subjects to mix, because people we love stories and we love finding out about the past, and we love learning about money, believe it or not. As soon as you start learning about money, you're like, what? Breedlove's piece, Masters of Slaves and Money, is brilliant. A brilliant journey through the arc of time, how the slave trade come to be out of Africa, and how that was all because of inflation and manipulation of the local currency. When the European settlers sailed across and found this continent of West Africa, and they realized what they were using as currency, and they realized we can make shit tons of that back in Europe very, very quickly.
Yep.
They just inflated away the value of what the people there had already and turned them into slaves. It's really unbelievable the way that money has touched every part of humanity and every part of society throughout history. And like you said, all the way back to shells, and how European settlers just trudged up the shells off the seabed and like, yeah, well, we're the richest fuckers in town now. Completely devalued anything that was already there. It's shocking, absolutely shocking. So yeah, I would say be practical. How do you learn best? If it's watching YouTube videos, there's even that content now. You can go and find this stuff. It's as simple as that.
Yeah, awesome. I think you've got people on one side of the fence that are struggling. There's got the despair, and then you've got Bitcoiners who personally I feel a whole lot of hope about it for not just for myself, but for just people in general. And if people just need to take a little step over the line and just buy a $10, $2, I don't care, and just watch it for a couple of months, or and then see what happens, feel more comfortable, and move on.
Absolutely. And for that guy, like if
right.
Yeah, and for that guy that you were talking about, like might be listening, or girl, woman, 35 years old, couple of kids, never getting out of this job until I'm 65, 70. That's a moving target that they fuck with, right? Retirement age.
Yeah.
Think of it this way. If you take 5 to 10% of your monthly wage, or it's better if you can do it weekly, just weekly. Think of open a Bitcoin account on an exchange or something, whatever country that you're in, or an app, whatever comfortable. You just make sure it's Bitcoin only. Don't go to any of the casinos. So there'll be a Bitcoin only app somewhere that you can use wherever you're living, and just weekly for the next 5 years.
Yeah, I like thinking buy one less coffee a week. Just start.
Right. Yeah, exactly that. Or make it whatever your vice is, right? One less packet of cigarettes or something. It just weekly stack. And if you do that for the next 5 years, you'll move your retirement age forward 20.
Yeah.
Like, think about that.
Yeah. It's mind blowing. I mean, I actually think people that are buying things through Fold, everything's going to be free.
Yep.
It's going to be free.
Everything trends to free. It's like if you use a credit card to do your weekly shop and you get sats back on that food trends to free over time.
It's incredible, right? Like, why would you not do that?
I was on a call last night with Knut Svanholm. I don't know if you've read his books.
So can I just interject quickly? The best. So it's not everything. This was in Citadel 21, and this is what got me. That is the big it's not everything that there is. It's everything that there will ever be. Divided, and I was like, that my mind was just, I can't read anything. I need to go just process this for a day or 2 days or something. And I was honestly, I loved it, and it's true.
Everything that ever was, everything there ever was, and everything that ever will be divided by 21 million. Let that sink in. It's so damn good. So he was driving through Europe the other day, and he stopped by, and so spent a night here. Great to meet him finally in person. And he's showing me, he's getting DMs of people that are getting the thing on their bicep, like the infinity over 21. And then as someone sent him a young lady sent him a side boob pic of he's like,
me. That was me. What are you talking about? I'll show you now, but no.
And it's nuts. And he's very humbled by it, because this was just like an epiphany of his, and he puts it down, he writes it down, and then he makes the formulaic kind of picture, the infinity on its side, and over 21. So powerful.
It's just the most
really
simple.
Amazing.
It's like they're just the most simple.
It is. It's an incredible meme. It like that wakes people up very, very quickly. And he was talking about last night on this call. He was on Bitcoin sessions, BTC sessions with Ben on Saturday night with a few other guys, and one of the guests was El Sultan from Venezuela, and they were obviously talking about hyperinflation. Knut turned it on his head, as Knut is so damn good at doing. He's like, Alessandro, imagine everything that's been happening in your country and Zimbabwe, and you look back through history. Just after the Second World War, Hungary, I think, I was learning the other day from David St-Onge that Hungary, I think, holds the record for quickest hyperinflation event in history, just 1945, June, July, and August, I think. And he has the actual notes, like the printed notes, he can show them in his collection. He's a truly amazing guy. Knut turns it on his head. He's like, now think about, instead of that loaf of bread going up by 1,000% every day, imagine the good that you want going down.
Yes.
Just as quick every day, and if not quicker, because when we reach that point, it's going to be another head fuck just the other way.
Yeah. Even the Bitcoiners, even the most Maxi Bitcoiner, they're going to have their mind blown by what happens.
Like, imagine looking at the nicest house you've ever wanted to buy in your life, and the next day it being 5% cheaper than it was the day before, and the day after that another 5%. You know, compounding downwards.
Yeah.
Just because you're holding Bitcoin.
Yeah. So I, at one point, this isn't a deep point, but I looked to see what Ronaldo earned, you know, the footballer, and then I went back to Weimar, and I looked at how long, and it was in an 18-month period. Ronaldo's salary goes down to less than $1 per annum. That's less than $1. We don't understand the exponentials. We're not wired for it, and it's like when you look at it like that, and you think that's just going to be scary. Yeah, but it's. Yeah.
And what is he on a week at the moment?
Oh, mate, I couldn't. I'd have to check back on the tweet. I don't even know. But he just went to United, of course. So I don't know what the pay packet is there. But
hundreds of millions a week, probably. I don't like. Tell me, like the Premiership footballers. I remember when somebody was signed during like the early 90s. Well, the Premiership was formed in the earlier 90s. And then you're like, oh my God, like so-and-so is earning 25 grand a week. Like 25 grand a week.
10 million or something like that, I think it was. And that blew my mind.
Yeah. But now look at it. And this isn't because like the amount of like better skilled players there are and how much better than they were back in the day. We all know that's nonsense. It's money printer go burr.
That's
like,
it.
You know, it's
right.
People try and, Keynesians will tell you, oh, it's the sponsorship money that's coming in, and the TV rights money. You're like, are you off your heads? Like that one guy is getting hundreds of millions a week. You're telling me because I can switch on a television channel and watch it. Like, no, that doesn't make sense. Like, it's the printing of the cash.
There are a few of the sports stars, and Strike, of course, have been particularly good with this. They're starting to, take some of their salary into Bitcoin because they're clocking it themselves.
Right.
And which is great to see, and that's going to spread as well. But Tom
Brady's got his laser eyes, doesn't he?
He did, yeah. I don't know if
I think he still does. Tom Brady's got laser eyes still, doesn't he?
Yes, but he went very quickly to NFTs and stuff.
Oh shit! Did he? I saw Reese Witherspoon the other day. Back on Ethereum.
And Kevin Peterson put the laser eyes on because he was chatting with back and forth with Peter McCormack, and Pete did a great job of helping him understand. But now he's just gone freaking psycho, crazy, vax all the things. You're all fucking dirty bastards. You need to be put in prison for 5 years. You're like, what? Woo. And he's taking the laser eyes off, which is kind of good. So
yeah. Listen, mate, you were on a clock a little bit, and you've been very gracious with your time. Thank you very much. We really appreciate you coming on. We weren't shooting for royalty straight away, but thank you very much. Yeah. And can we do the one final question?
Yeah.
Well, if you've got one, I don't know if anybody else has done this, but if you had one orange pill left to give, who would it be?
Yeah.
God damn it! I haven't heard it.
Yeah, I've been. It's been turned back on me a couple of times. Matt Odell did it to me once.
Okay.
Like that.
And I fronted him up with Greta, which was pretty funny.
Okay.
Because I still think that would be fucking ace, to be honest.
Yeah.
If she if all of a sudden she wakes up one day like, guys, I had it all fucked up. It's like, this is all wrong. Like, Bitcoin's great for the environment. It's going to clean the air. Like, sure, like the education system's fucked. Everybody leave school, go and become self-sovereign in the education, and go. Let's get as many Bitcoin miners plugged into dirty fossil fuel pumping kind of gas stations and whatever else as possible. But no, I'll choose someone else. What's been happening a lot on the show recently is people going just closer back to home. It's gone full loop, and that's where I feel I'm settling again. So I just love for my close family members to kind of find it. They have to find it without me. That I don't listen to the pod. They don't ask questions about it. That would be great if I could. one big family Christmas on both sides of the family, get everybody together, or it doesn't even need to be Christmas, whatever. Whenever we're allowed to, see our family again would be nice. Dear overlords, if anyone's listening, and you deem it fit for us filthy humans to, start seeing each other again, that would be nice. And I could mix up the orange peel and the punch bowl, and just see. It might take a little bit longer if it's diluted, but at least I know it'd be there. And
you can chill them our pod now, so you don't actually have to push forward. So
exactly, we've got a Scottish guy and an Aussie guy. There's good banter there, and nice accents. You can go and listen to these guys.
From that perspective, I think it's a good thing. Like, we all listen to a lot of American content because there's a lot of great content comes out of America, and I think it'd be good to hear from voices all over the world as well. And obviously there's a language barrier and things, but we're that. There's a lot of people who can speak English too, so it'd be great to hear the voices from everywhere. I think that's really, I'm really keen to have people from anywhere on the pod, and I know you do that too. So just the normal.
Yeah, you got to reach out to Daz down in Oz as well. He's a great Bitcoin pleb doing really good work. It's just a Sparky. Yeah, Daz BEA on Twitter. Yeah. Daz Beyer. He's been on my show.
And he started writing. Yeah.
Yeah.
I heard the show.
Yeah, reach out to him, get him on the show. Just have a good old freaking Aussie kind of Scottish bash up. It'd be good fun.
Awesome. All right, Daniel. Thank you so much, mate.
Thank you. All the best with everything.
Pleasure.
Thanks very much.
Best of luck with your pod, guys. I'll be watching, listening, doing all I can to help you get it out there. When the episode drops, let me know. We'll tweet it out and see who we can attract to your new show. Well done, and keep up the good work.
Thanks, mate.
Thank you, mate.
Take care.
All right, what do you think of that? Still a good conversation. Apologies again for the audio. Let us know. We're on Twitter at 2BitIdiots. That's the numeral 2BitIdiots. We'd love to know what you think. Any suggestions for topics or guests? Please hit us up. Cheers.